anybody that had a ping lower than 50 was a low ping bastard.
How many people do you think you've managed over the years?
Players in style, probably about 1,500. I came from the council estate and I just thought to myself, well, what's the worst that can happen? I kept getting accused of cheating. This is what every esports team wants, to bend it like ODEE. One of my number one rules in life is not what you know, it's who you know.
Jack actually played for you on the FIFA team, didn't he?
Yeah, and he lived about 2 miles away, which was weird.
And also his brother Luke was also on there, so we're going to take this a bit personal. Who do you think was the best player? Who was the best player? Don't just say it because Jack's here.
Thanks for that. He stuffed it in Zakopus's camera bag, right on the lens of Zakopus's new 2,000-pound camera. Esports is not normal. Anybody that works in esports is just not normal, and it never stops. It never switches off. No, I can't leak it, but it's like you've got a dream or a vision, whatever you want to call it. You've got to make it happen.
Yeah.
And if you don't try, you'll never know. I don't care how it happens. I just want it to happen.
Hello and welcome to the Vista. Today we have a very distinguished guest. Probably one of the longest serving people in UK esports. Founder of Team Dignitas. Been part of Birmingham Salvo, Rogue, Koi, and now Scan Computers. Michael O.D.E. Welcome.
Hello. Good timing as my brakes go nuts.
How's Scan life?
Really good. Yeah, it's definitely different doing this compared to like what I've been doing for the last 20 odd years. So I'm really enjoying it though. It's really cool. Being on the other side is very interesting. That's for sure.
Can you give us any insights?
I've had probably 30 sponsorship proposals already. It's just it's like really
What the heck?
Yeah, it's a bit nuts. But I've got a clear vision of what I want to do for Scan, so that's just started to kick in. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing, love to hear it. I guess like starting off with like timeline wise, you had was it Birmingham Salvo first and then Team Dignitas?
No, Salvo was 2007.
And 2003 was Dignitas.
Dignitas was 2003, but then before that was Quake and Duke Nukem and Wolfenstein and running European Championships for Quake 3 CTF. Yeah, that's the big gap between all of them. Yeah, a lot happened.
And like just digging into Birmingham Salvo, that was it was a Sky initiative, right?
Yeah, well, it kind of started in 2006. It was like DirecTV and Sky, which is like Rupert Murdoch's like babies, both of them. And basically in 2006 they ran something called, I can't even remember what it was called. Actually, I cannot remember what it was called. It was for Battlefield 2 as well. It was just a test to see what it was like to put esports on TV, and it was the two best American teams, which really annoyed us because we were the best team in the world and they didn't ask us, and it just really annoyed us. Anyway, so that was the test, and then 2007 Championship Gaming Series came out with mostly American teams, but they added like 2 British teams, 2 European teams, Mexico, I think Singapore as well. Might have been Singapore, I can't remember. Oh, Australian team, that was it. Melbourne. And basically 2007 I got into it, but it was really good timing because I was running Dignitas and they asked me to come and like I don't know, then actually not even interview, they just said like, we want you to be like one of the team owners, not owners, team managers to run this team, Birmingham Salvo. And I was like, okay, how much are you paying me? And they're like $3,000 a month, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because that was as big as a sponsorship deal back then, so it was actually really quite good. So literally they kind of said you need to like not do dig, and I was like, nah, that ain't happening. I said I don't mind stepping sideways and backwards a bit, but that's it. But because of Championship Gaming Series, it got us through the recession because we had extra income coming in, which I just put into dig. So yeah, so it was 2007, 2008. They spent $50 million and then it died.
I feel like such a baby because in 2007 I was 5.
Cool. Thanks for that.
That's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great though. It was like 18 months of like really cool stuff. It's like the draft was at the Playboy Mansion for the first year. Everybody in esports that was esports back then was involved. So Fatality, DJ Wheat, Sujoy Roy, who was people don't know him, he's the first UK pro gamer ever. He's the one that I read about in 1999, where he left his Wall Street job to go be a pro gamer for Razer and get 200 grand a year. And I was like, what the fuck? I can do that. Sorry, swear, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. And I was like, I want to do this. I'm going to do that because that's what I got injured playing football. So I was on crutches, started reading the internet. Well, it was crap back then, but I was reading it. And I was like, I want to do that. So basically, I'd always played games. Like I didn't even start till I was 29. Like in esports, it wasn't even called esports. And I used to play Doom with my mate peer to peer. What that is, it's literally dial-up modem, just his phone line to my phone line, which was like 300 ping, 3 miles from each other. But it was just like, whoa, I'm playing my mate, and he's like in my bedroom, not in my bedroom, but he's my mate. That to describe that experience when you've gone through like from 1978 when the first like arcade machines came out, and then the first computers that weren't really computers, but they were kind of computers in like early 80s. To go through all of that, and then all you were playing was algorithms. So it's just a computer doing the same thing over and over again. So you had to learn the algorithms to beat the game. So when I got injured, I found this thing called Wireplay, which is basically an online service which allowed you to connect to servers and play real people. And that was like, whoa, this is like what the hell? And the first game I played was Duke Nukem, which is probably the most politically incorrect game you can think of now. If you've never seen it, go back and look at it. It's great. Sorry, I'm from the 70s.
Great game.
So yeah, it was great. It's just really like, okay, I won't explain it. Go and watch it. But it was just like, it was muscle memory, like hand-eye coordination, shooting people that were real and destroying them, and that I was just like, I won't say those words because I always say them. I was just like obsessed with playing online against real people. And then when Quake 3 came out, that was like mind blowing. Like, first server I joined, I could still see it in my head. It was like CTF1, Quake 3 CTF1. It was just rockets flying all over the place with like 50 people in a server. It was just stupidly small map. And that's what got me going. That's literally it. So I spent several years playing Quake. In the middle of that, like I said, I ran the first European Championship for Quake 3 CTF. So we had like people like Turkey and Iceland, and back then they were on 300 pings, trying to compete. Anybody that had a ping lower than 50 was a low ping bastard. That's what they were called, LPBs. And it took me 3 years to be an LPB because my connection was crap. But then people like Too Good, like James Hardin. Do you know who he is? So James Hardin, he was started off as a Quake player. He was on a 300 ping, and we saw him on servers playing on a 300 ping, and I was like, this guy's cheating, or he's one of the best players I've ever seen. So we recruited him. It turns out he was one of the best players ever. In Quake, it was very good. He played 1-on-1, but then he moved into like actually he was the first UK transfer in esports. I sold him to Fnatic for 700 quid. I was well happy with that because he had 3 months left on his contract. But yeah, he was the first UK transfer. But then he went into like casting, and he was a presenter at the International. He went on to work for Twitch. He gave me one of the first esports contracts with Twitch in 2010. And then he decided to create his own game. So that's what he does now. His company got bought by, I think it got bought by Epic, I'm not sure. And he's making games now with Zachabus, who's another ex-Dig player.
Yeah, because I met Zach like when we played back in 2019, because then he was streaming for a bit after that, right? And then
yeah, so Zach was one of the best UK players ever to have been, like, no doubt about that. FPS player, one of the very best, absolutely completely dyslexic as well, which made it even more amazing how good he was at 1v1 games, because he's timing all of this stuff in his head. Put a bit of paper writing in front of him, he couldn't understand it. So he was one of the best players I ever saw. But now he's doing art, taught himself how to draw, and he's doing art in James's game, which is pretty cool.
That's incredible.
So yeah, so that's just the first year. So yeah, a lot happened since then. That's for sure.
It's crazy when you hear that like £700 for the first UK player transfer. Now there's some people that go for millions, right?
Yeah, and it was with Fnatic, and Fnatic was started by Sam Matthews, and Sam Matthews was my teammate in Quake, which is even more like people don't believe that, but yeah, Sam Matthews was my teammate. What was his nickname? He was Zero, basically ZR number 0. So that was his tag. And I'm just ODEE because of my surname. That's all it is. Big O, big D with 2 E's on the end for no apparent reason. So yeah, but a lot of people in the early days of esports came from Quake and Counter-Strike. And a lot of those people are still around. Owned by Saudi Arabia now, but EFG, which was basically ESL, the co-CEOs, Craig Levine in America, he ran one of the biggest Counter-Strike teams at the beginning of esports, Team 3D. And in Europe, Ralph Reichart, he founded SK Gaming, and he played Quake. And that's what SK Gaming was originally a Quake team.
I never knew that, actually.
But Foreign used to work. Yeah, Foreign used to work for them, like editor on their website. So basically, SK Gaming, the site in the early 2000s. What do they call that? The noughties? I think it's called the noughties. I have no idea.
The noise.
Yeah. So basically, SK Gaming was the place to go for esports news. So Foreign was the head editor there. Shocks worked for SK Gaming for quite a while. So quite a few people came through these original teams, and so many people came through Team Dignitas over the years. I was at my daughter's college the other day, and there was one of the students there said that she'd actually been one of the volunteers on the Dig website in 2021, obviously after I've gone, but it's pretty amazing that's happened. So
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, how many people do you think you've managed over the years? Like
players and staff, probably about 1,500.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely mental.
Wow.
Somebody said to me, they were joking. No, they weren't joking. They were being rude and nasty. They were saying that's how shit you were because all those people left you. It's like,
Oh, but I bet they couldn't see them doing it though, could they?
No, it's it's nice because now what I predicted like 15 years ago was like a lot of these players are going to go into positions of power and come back. Like Jack, you're here, like you play for Dig, but a lot of this is happening now where people I know that worked for me or were a player or they were staff, they're in places that are really useful for me right now. So I can name drop loads, but I won't do that. But
that
this
must
week,
feel really rewarding for you, like to see that as your friends as well, like seeing them succeed.
Yeah, it's really cool. So this year, I introduced ESL CS to Insomnia because so at I-71 there was an ESL, is it the Premiership they had there?
Yeah.
So I introduced ESL to Insomnia and also Rob Black who runs, oh god, I can't forget his company's name. What's Rob's bloody company? Anyway, sorry, Rob Black. He runs a company that runs tournaments. The name will come back to me in 2 hours. I know that. And basically, I introduced them, and then it just hit me that this is what I've been predicting. So I've got Sean Clark from ESL, who was Command and Conquer World Champion, who played for Dig. Rob Black, who was my Call of Duty manager in 2007, and they're talking to each other with Insomnia about putting that event on, and I was just like, whoa, this is what I predicted, and it's happening. This is really like weird.
I mean, that is incredible.
So that's happening a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, it pays that everyone that you've done right to over the years that like they're coming back to help you now as well when they're in a position where they're able to do these things.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. Not Hot Drop. ProMod, that's it. That's his company.
Yeah, because
he runs ProMod,
and they have Hot Drop associated with them, right?
Yeah, so his wife runs Hot Drop,
Amazing.
who my daughter works for as well,
does
which is
she?
weirder. Yeah. So
Oh.
my daughter, she does social media accounts for Hot Drop, but she got the job by herself, and she told me quite bluntly, "It's like I got the job all by myself." So I go, all right. It's
How
my mate. Yeah,
often?
yeah. So
No credit for you.
yeah, no, that's all. So
Amazing.
yeah.
I guess the other one that obviously you had Dignitas. You built it from 2003 to 2016.
Yeah, so Dig, like I was one of the original players, so I can't forget the rest of them because the original team was Dignitas. So basically, we were two Battlefield teams, Battlefield 1942. After Quake, I set out, like, I'm gonna be a pro gamer. Whatever I do, I'm gonna be pro at something. Quake was not making any money for us at that point. Counter Strike started to get some money coming into it, but this is like really early days. They were the first like team houses. And that really annoyed us because we were Battlefield players, and I think we even did a video once where one day Battlefield will kill Counter Strike. Yeah, that kind of didn't work. um, but that original team, we were the best in the world, no doubt about that. Like, if there was a world championship of that game in a stadium, we would have won it. There's no doubt in my mind. But those things didn't exist then. So even I say that to a couple of people, we were the best in the world, and they say, "No, you weren't." Yes, we were. Like, shut up! You don't know what you're talking about. It really annoys me, that does. So anyway, so I set out to be the best in the world. That's what I wanted to be. We were the best in the world. We went unbeaten 19 months, 141 games. Like, that's never happened in esports ever, and it never will.
That's ridiculous.
The closest one was CS:GO, the NIP team. Right at the beginning of that, they went unbeaten for almost a year. But it wasn't 140 games like ours was. So when that happened, like we got the first sponsor. Like, they came to us, like they said, "Come to CeBIT, meet us." They offered us $10,000, which is not a lot. I had a real job, got kids, wife, and it was like, okay, like I started doing some of the business stuff. I was doing marketing. And then they said, "Well, we'll give you $10,000 and we'll put the logo on your shirt." We didn't have a shirt, so they sent us a shirt, and that's kind of how it started. But anyway, it got me thinking, like, hang on, if one company will give us $10,000, like, how do we get more? It actually took 2 years to get the next sponsor, and that sponsor really kind of got us noticed a lot more. So it was Creative XFi. And they got us noticed because we kept getting accused of cheating. So they did this sound card, and we could hear stuff that other teams just couldn't hear. We could hear footsteps through walls. So you see videos of us like looking at the wall, like looking like track. Looks like we got wall hacking, but we're literally listening to the footsteps.
Sound EQ.
Yeah, exactly. And then a guy would come around the corner and you pre-fire it, and they just walk into a bullet, and that was it. Yeah, you cheated. Blah 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 blah. And that was when, God, we're talking like 2005, when CPL was in the UK in Sheffield, in an old steelworks, and we slept on the floor in the steelworks in sleeping bags because we didn't have enough money for hotels or anything. You had the Painkiller World Tour that was there as well, so you had like Fatality and Vu. If anybody doesn't know who Vu is, look him up. He's one of the best FPS players ever. And it's actually one of my favorite things I've ever done in esports. I'll say this. So I introduced Vu to Get Right. Who Get Right is a Swedish Counter Strike player. This was like 3 or 4 years ago at a party, and it's like two of the best players that ever existed. Just I introduced them. That was one of my favorite things I ever did in esports, and they were fanboys of each other. It was so good. It's like, oh, I used to watch you play Fankos. Oh, I watch you play Counter Strike. It's so good. So anyway, so yeah, so that got us noticed a lot more. And then that's when we bumped into Scan, and that changed everything for us. So I've come full circle on. Now I work for Scan, but Scan, they sponsored us. They bought more sponsors with them when we did it in 2005, 2006. So we had Scan, XFX, was sort of a graphics card company, Corsair. So Corsair have always been around big, like for years. And it was actually the guy that gave us the A.O.B deal, a guy called Scott Furwell. He still works for Corsair today. He went to Corsair. He still works for them today. And that just changed everything. Then 2 months later, Intel said like, we're going to sponsor you too, because I went to them and I said, look, you're sponsoring 4 Kings, give us a tenth for what you give them. I'll show you how good we are. Shouldn't have done that. That's kind of nasty, but I did it. And then we were better, and that was it. We were sponsored by Intel for 12 years, something like that. And it was all about long term. So we were sponsored by Scan for 12 years, Creative, Dell for 10 years, managing and juggling those sponsors and competing categories and companies. We had once we had X Creative on one sleeve and Razer on the other, and they're like competing, but they do different products. So yeah, it was fun managing all that. But that's where I really saw what could happen, and I just went for it. Literally, could have gone horribly wrong. I came from the council estate, and I just thought to myself, well, what's the worst that can happen? I end up back on the council estate. Luckily, I didn't.
Yeah, I love that mentality. I love it. And you mentioned Scan there, and obviously you're back at Scan now, and your title is Director of Esports and Gaming. Is that right?
Yep.
And then recently you announced a deal with the NSE.
Yeah. So I've been at Scan 5 months now. It's gone quick. It's one of the I've been watching the NSE and the university leagues in this country, and it's growing fast. And just understanding how they work and how good it is for all the universities and colleges, and seeing what's been happening in America, because the collegiate stuff in America is off the scale now, and that will hit the UK very soon. But yeah, it's just the first thing in my head. How do I? Scan have always been in esports for years, but they've grown so fast. It's just how do we get them in the front and everybody seeing them again? And NSE is the thing that I came up with first, and I've got to sign off, and here off we go. So
yeah, I'm at university. We have NSE here, but unfortunately we don't have a Call of Duty team, which is kind of unfortunate. So it's I only mainly play COD, but the group chat that I'm actually in a Discord with the NSE as well, and everybody in there is just great. Everyone's so nice. It's insane. We've got group chats on top of group chats. Actually for the uni I'm at too. And we're always sending support tickets and things like that. It's just great, especially to see a lot of uni people who need the space as well to actually have a place to talk to people, especially about gaming and getting involved. It's great. I say that from my perspective as well.
Well, that's cool to hear, and it's pretty cool that I've got a really good reaction already from a lot of places. So what I did when I left Infinite Reality, I just thought I'd go around the UK and see what's going on, and just literally everything's pointing education. And I went to the British Esports Students Finals at Confetti X, and I walked in that place and I was like, what the fuck? This is amazing. This is what every esports team wants. The facilities were just unbelievable. So yeah, and then literally a week later, it was spoke to Scan. They said, come work for us. And I was like, okay, and yeah. It's been a lot of fun since.
I started doing courses on esports and stuff at colleges and stuff now.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm hopefully I've got a year and a half left here. Then I'm going to be picking up a year in esports, I think, after, because I get an extra year of funding. But I just think it's insane. When I first started playing COD as a kid, it's that never happened. You didn't see any of that. And my little brother's now picking up esports in sixth form. It's what?
Yeah,
it's normal, but obviously when I was playing, it was get off your game and go do your maths and your science. Now it's sit, play, and learn. It's I wish I had that.
Yeah, well, me too. It's same thing. Although I'm a bit older than you, so but the stuff, it's in secondary schools now. It's happening. It's at all levels almost now.
It's incredible,
and it will continue to expand and grow, because now there's so many jobs available in esports. So I got awarded an honorary doctorate last month, which was very surreal. But I most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life, seriously, it was I went to Chichester Cathedral, and I had to stand up in front of 200 odd people and talk. I'm not very good at talking in front of real people. In fact, I'm really rubbish. I don't mind cameras or this is fine. Or people that I kind of know, but people I don't know. So as soon as I started talking, I heard my voice go really high pitched. My legs were shaking. I put down my notes. I wrote 12 notes to remind me of what to say. Put it in front of me. Looked down. I couldn't see it. So the first 10 seconds, I was kind of like leaning forward, like, oh, I've got the first 3 lines. And then when I leant back up, I was like, fuck, I've forgotten what I was going to say already. So I just started off like, and they did like it was at least 4 minutes of like, this is why you're getting an honorary doctorate, which is pretty cool. There is a video online somewhere. I'm not going to publicize it, but I did watch it back, and the speech was quite good that I did. But their speech about why I got it, it was like, it gets me. If I talk about family or like players, I get that like that horrible feeling where you're like you might tear up, but you don't want to tear up because I'm hard enough. So they did that. So my legs are shaking. I start talking. I got a few laughs. So the first thing that I said was like, my mum told me I wouldn't get anywhere playing games. I guess she was wrong. So I got a few laughs on what I said. But literally, I saw the whole graduation. So all these students walking past me, and literally every degree that they just done is linked to esports now, even to the makeup people that walk past me and got their makeup degrees, because I've been in esports, so they had makeup put on. Even the championship gaming series final in LA, we had makeup there, and I said, "Do I really need makeup?" And she said, "Yeah, there's not a lot I can do with this." And she was joking, but I was like, "Yeah, cheers, thanks." But like, it was like screenwriters. It was like also screenwriters. There's going to be films there are films starting to come for esports. There's been a couple of TV shows for esports already. But when we started in '99, there were no jobs. It was just like, hang on, you play games and someone gave you money. What the hell is that all about? So yeah,
it is incredible.
I can't even remember what the bloody question was now. So
it's gone on a tangent.
Yeah. Oh, we love a tangent. Yeah, we love a tangent. Amazing. So up next, we've got a little section called This or That, and it's with Abby Keeps.
That's with me. Hello. Well, yeah, my name is Abby. So I've got a couple of random questions. Don't worry, they're not like insanely thing. But first of all, I want to ask: is that a Goonies poster in your background?
yes.
Yes, I rate it. I love that movie.
It's,
It's one of my favorites. Right, so
it's 3 of my favorite films: Lost Boys, Goonies, and The Shawshank Redemption.
oh no, Goonies out of them, to be fair.
Solid.
Right, so I've got a couple of ones I've done a bit. I did a bit of digging today, and you did a bit of stalking your socials to find a bit about you. So what I'm going to do is a quick question of this or that. So we're going to start off with your favorite games. So a little birdie has told me that Battlefield 9042 and Quake 3 are up there with your like top few favorites. So if you had to pick one of those games to play and you couldn't play the other one like forever, which one would you pick?
Ooh. So an impossible question, but I think Quake is the one where the skill level is just off the level, and Quake 3 is, so you got Quake Live now. Quake Live is fast, but Quake 3, there's nothing as fast as that game that I've ever seen. The skill in that game was just like, I was proud to actually be good at that game, because I was like 29, 30 playing it, and all these kids are running around. So my mate Ramesh Singh, when I first came across him in a match, I think he was 14 years old, which sounds really dodgy, but he was so good and so fast. I was like, I just cannot catch this kid. So I recruited him, and then we've been mates for the last 25 years.
Sounds great. Another thing as well, I don't know if I'm wrong, so tell me if I'm wrong. You was the best sniper in the world in Battlefield, was it? I think you say.
Well, in my own personal reckoning,
in your
yes.
own, yeah, in your words.
There's,
I personally
there was no snipers better than me in 1942. No way. I don't care what anyone says.
So I don't really know much about Battlefield, but I've got 2 snipers that I want to ask you to pick between. So I've got the SWS-10 or the DXR-1. Which one's the best one for you?
DXR-1.
And is there a reason?
You could bend the bullets better. Because in Battlefield, you had to do trajectory shooting. So if you shot a long way, you have to bend it. So bend it like ODEE.
So earlier we were speaking about arcade games, and I've noticed in one of your posts that you've got some tattoos on your arm.
Yep.
And if I'm correct, Space Invaders and Asteroids.
Yes.
Yes. So my question for you is, if you had to pick one arcade game, include like this, we're talking the 1978, the 1979 games, the originals, Space Invaders or Asteroids, if you had to pick between one, which one would you prefer?
Space Invaders, because it was hard. It was probably the hardest algorithm. If you've ever played it, you'll hear that. Then that's the
Yeah, it's that
algorithm.
beat in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's the same every time.
no,
Is
it's
it
not.
not?
It slightly changes, but you had to count the beats to get the big spaceship.
All right.
So I won a. There was a Space Invader tournament at DreamHack 2013, and I won it. And literally, they had this tournament to win a PC, and I said to my other managers, I said, "I'm just doing this. Like, you're in charge." And then eventually, it got so competitive with this bloke who was also quite good at the game. He kept standing behind me and like moving side to side. I could see his bloody like shadow going. It was really pissing me off. So I got some of the R players, Dignitas players, in a semicircle behind me to block him. I was getting really annoyed. By,
Slight little
by,
elbow.
yeah, but I won it.
Oh, well
So,
done. That's it. See, I'm more of a Pac-Man. I love Pac-Man, me, and Tetris. They're my games. I was brought up in
yeah.
them games with my mum and my dad.
Well, Pac-Man, I went to ESI. I can say this now. Yeah, I went to ESI last year, and I was pretty bored. But and they had a Pac-Man competition to win a. I think it was the iced coffee company that goes there to win a slab of that. So I just played Pac-Man for like a day,
Some coffee.
and I won it. Yeah.
How big was the slab?
I thought they were going to ship it, but I had to take it home, and it was like 24 cans. So it was really annoying.
So I've got another one, quick one for you. So this is a bit of a fire one. LAN tournaments or online tournaments. What do you enjoy the most?
LAN for sure. It shows you that you can from a competitive side you can get people's heads just by looking at them, and I always love that. I just like
what the competitive side of it.
When I was playing, I just used to love people just getting annoyed because we were winning. And we went to a LAN in Germany. I remember that in Stuttgart, and we beat the team about 4 rows in front of us, and they were facing us, but 3 rows in front. And we beat them, and I just remember this kid just stood up with his keyboard and smashed it on the monitor, and the keys just went everywhere. I was just sitting, just like
that would have boosted my ego. That
yeah. I'll never forget that. And another similar thing that happened was in Championship Gaming Series. Our Dead or Alive player beat the American player we were playing. I think it was Carolina Core. And the American stood up and threw his controller on the stage, and it bounced and it hit this little kid in the crowd. He's like 10 years old, hit him on the head, and he just stood up and went, "Yes!" like that. I'll never forget that.
Did he get to keep the controller, the kid?
I've no idea. I just thought that was really quite funny.
I would have laughed my last made off. Everyone would have stared at me like I'm a bad person for it.
Yeah.
Going with events and LAN tournaments, would you say Europe or the US are the best for events like that?
It's hard to. It's just literally hard to say. It depends what event it is. Like I've been to brilliant ones all around the world. Like my last favorite one, to be honest, was the Gamers 8 in Saudi Arabia. That was amazing. But no, they're all different. Different crowds, different, like from China to like Korea, America. Like some crowds are absolutely nuts. Like the Spanish crowds at the minute are just beyond like nuts. It's really good to see how excited they get about it.
Yeah, see, I've never been to an event yet, and I'm hopefully going to Insomnia next year. I think that's my goal. Definitely to get there as my first one.
28th of March.
Yeah, I've applied for my content pass. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
So as I said to the students in my speech at Chichester Cathedral, I just said this is probably not a good thing to say in an education setting, but one of my number one rules in life is not what you know, it's who you know. I can get you into I-72. Don't worry about that.
Oh well, I'll message you after, mate. So for the next question. So I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation. I'm sorry. Dignitas. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Talking about your logo, would you say the Dignitas logo or the Royal Ravens logo? Like, what would you say you like the most, like appealing wise?
Oh, the original Dig logo for sure. Digi.
Digi.
I
was going to say Diggy at first. I was like, I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, well, we literally all we did was like when we came up with a name, and we didn't know it was a Swiss suicide clinic at the time. We just wanted a Latin name that had 3 syllables. That was it, and we spent 2 hours trying to find one, and came up with that. And it means merit, prestige, dignity, and worth. So that was cool. And then we wanted a logo which was unisex, and just we could use in lots of different colors. So the original logo, the full color logo, you can break that down into like yellow, whatever color you want, pink, blue. But but we noticed we did when we first saw the first sketch. I think the eyes were joined up, both eyes, and we said like it looks kind of like the Vodafone logo. So can we break one of the eyes? So that's why it's like that. But anyway, then it turned into an owl, and then it turned into whatever the hell it is now. So it looks like the Vodafone logo. So I don't care. The original logo is still good. It's on me there. It's the good
That's
one.
great. That's absolutely great. So now we're going to bring this a bit closer to home. So Jack actually played for you on the FIFA team, didn't he?
Yeah, and he lived about 2 miles away, which was weird.
And also his brother Luke was also on there. So we're going to take this a bit personal. Who do you think was the best player? Who was the best player? Don't just say it because Jack's here.
Okay, so when they were playing for me, like Jack won't complain. Luke was really good.
Oh yeah, he was so much better than me.
Yeah, it was really good.
Jack definitely.
Bit of a temper though, didn't he?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh god.
See, I always remember like interesting players to coach, and he was one of them. And that's why I like Lamb, because when you take people out of their comfort zone and put them in front of thousands of people or a camera, then you've got to teach them how to like cope with that, and that's what I really to be honest, partly that's what I love doing, managing people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had some interesting players, but most of the top players just had the same mentality as me. It's like, I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to be the best. And pretty much every single world champion I've had, that was their thinking.
Yeah, it's that positive a positive push, isn't it, really? Of like knowing you want it, so you're going to work for it.
Yes, but there's also like there's the extremes. You've got the ultra like complete how do you say this nicely? Not so nice people, and then you've got the nice ones that will do anything to be the best, but in a nice way.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
Yeah. I've got my top 10 of hard players to manage.
Yeah. Oh god, nice little list. Well, that is it for me from this or that. So thank you very much for them.
No worries.
Going back to Jack.
Amazing. Actually, no, we're going straight to copy for Quickfire.
Oh, copy.
Well, I do have one thing to touch on from one of Abby's questions. You said you competed at LAN and some people got animated while you were there. When you were a player, were you animated or were you cool, calm, and collected?
Cool. If you see me now, if I was playing, I wouldn't even jump up and down if we'd won. I've always been like that. If like probably the most animated I get about anything is if Arsenal win or score a goal. Like if when I was managing, I'd be standing there, I'd be like this, win, like, or if we lost, I'd be like that, no facial expression. Somebody said to me like, "How do you stay so calm?" And then I'd show them like my heart monitor, it'd be like through the roof.
That's me with my heart monitor on my wrist.
Yeah, so I got 2 modes in esports: angry or quite happy.
Nothing in the middle.
No, definitely
no
not.
thermostat.
I've smashed mice, keyboards. Like it's quite funny. The other day, my neighbour said the monitor stopped working, so I thought I would come and help. So I took a spare monitor that I randomly had and a cable, and I plugged the monitor in, and then I realised that's one that I punched earlier because there was a big, dark bit in the middle. Luckily, it was just the cable. So yeah, so I've taken out a few monitors in my time.
Quality. So let's get into the quickfire questions. I mean, this was one of the later ones to ask, but you touched on it a minute ago. Who is the hardest player you've had to manage?
StarCraft player called Naniwa. He was the best Western player in StarCraft 2012-13. He was just exactly what I just said. Like he was very like tough on himself, wanted to be the best, and he was difficult. For example, Zachabas was with him at a tournament once, and he just got a McDonald's, Naniwa. He got called to go play at this MLG. Instead of putting the burger down or eating the burger, he stuffed it in Zachabas's camera bag, right on the lens of Zachabas's new 2,000-pound camera. Yeah, awkward.
Oh. I would have thrown hands.
That's
all I'm saying.
I did have to step in front of him, but he went off and played a one. So yeah, but he was very hard to manage for sure.
Oh my God.
Sounds difficult. And then on the other end of it, is there one player in particular that you looked at and you just knew that he was going to make it, or she?
Several, like actually, yeah, so many. Like because we did so much scouting, We could just see. I always describe it like it's like playing football in a playground. We could just see the good kid, and the coaches and people that I had around me. Anybody that we signed for Dig, actually there were a couple we did as experiments, but most people we signed for Dig were top class players. We knew they were good, so I can't really single anyone out. Anyone that won a world championship, that they're the ones. That was
Yeah.
the most satisfying thing to see.
Okay, and then going on to your new role, so you've gone from the side of trying to gain a sponsor to giving them out. What is the hardest thing you've had with the transition?
Getting back into the real world again. That's kind of how I've had a. Esports is not normal. Anybody that works in esports is just not normal, and it never stops. It never switches off. So, I think the hardest thing was actually having a bank holiday Monday. I haven't had that for 20 years. It's like, oh, it's a holiday. No one's working. What should we do? So we went to Eastbourne Pier, and I spent 60 quid putting 10p's in a slot machine to win a bottle of Prime for no apparent reason.
That's
And I won. I won a bottle of. I could have bought one for £2 next to me, but I wanted to win it, and I did. And I tweeted KSI. I said, "Look, I got a bottle of your Prime."
I actually think I see that tweet as well.
Yeah, no, it's just like I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot. I don't. I wouldn't say stressful. It's a lot more calming to actually do what I'm doing now rather than worrying about like, did I book the flights? Is somebody like who's looking after these players? What's this player gonna do? Like worrying about players doing stupid shit. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Enjoying not having to have a player go rogue and having to deal with it.
Yeah, and a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that.
Okay, and so we know that you've been to the White House a few times. What is the most surprising thing with that experience when you went?
Just surreal. Yeah, that's the only word. It's just there's so many things that we did in esports that it's just like, what the hell are we doing? How is this even happening? It's like things like I think Juki's one of our Warzone streamer where he's in lockdown, he's streaming and he's got Raheem Sterling in his chat, like trying to like join the game. It's like, can I play? I'm Raheem. So it's like, but no, that was pretty cool place to go. But there's so many things that we've done, like being at BlizzCons. Like BlizzCon was this weekend. All the memories I've got from the ones that I went to, where I've watched like front row concerts of Foo Fighters, Linkin Park, Metallica at BlizzCon. They were some of my favorite memories.
Metallica are amazing live, I must
Yes.
say. I've seen them; they are amazing.
I was front row at a Metallica concert at BlizzCon, which is weird.
Oh, she's so jealous.
Yeah, because what I would do is like go there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They wouldn't come on till 9. I'd stand there for 6 hours.
Stop it.
You just can't do that at a real concert.
No. And we've got one final question. So, when you first stepped into esports, was there one figure that inspired you the most to pursue this career?
As I said, Sujoy Roy for sure. He's the one that like opened my eyes to it. But then Fatality, Jonathan Wendell, like watching just his infectious the infectious way that he trained reminded me of when I played American football. No, yeah, I got that bit. I played American football at quite a high level, and those coaches were the ones that started me thinking about coaching and getting the best out of people because I could see the mind games they were playing with people, and I started bringing that into esports when I started doing it. Good example is when we signed Razor for the first time. We had two players, Zacchaeus and Garpy, playing whatever they were playing. I can't remember. Garpy didn't like the mouse, and he was moaning. I said to Zacchaeus, like, just let him win for a couple of days, and he's like, no. I'm like, no, please, just let him win because it's like just make him think that he likes the mouse. A couple of days later, he's like, oh, Odie, this mouse is all right now. So I'm beating Zach quite regularly. So there you go, sorted.
Quality. Actually, I do have one more as well. I've got you. Be rude not to ask it. So, when someone approaches yourself at Scan for a sponsor, is there one thing that ever catches you as being mighty impressive and will sway you the way of them?
I wouldn't say sway because basically anybody that understands what or thinks they understand what Scan are trying to do Like, you got to do your homework. Like, you'll be surprised how many people don't do their homework about the
Yeah.
companies they talk to. That's probably the worst, most annoying thing for me about anybody in esports, when they just think people are going to throw money at them. It doesn't work like that. You got to find out why any company would want to deal with you, and that's it. And you've got to work on that. And it's not just a one thing that you find. It's got to be over time, and you've got to build relationships. That's the most important. That's the key thing in esports. It really is. And I think I tweeted the other day, like, this year, like, we've seen some pretty big car crashes, which is what I predicted for sure. And there'll be a couple more. I think next year is going to be a lot better, but the problem is people are still doing the same mistakes over and over again, and they don't learn. I don't get it. Yeah. Hopefully people ask me questions later.
So yeah, do your homework and no generic responses.
Yeah, we've scanned this. Like, we do so much stuff. It's like, since I've joined them from when they sponsored us in 2016, I think they had like 100 and something people then. They got 400 now. They're doing so much stuff all over the place. It's like pretty amazing. So we've got lots of departments, and we got lots of cool things like our free access systems, for example. So the hardest bit for me is working with them to understand how everything works, because it's really complicated. So I'm director of esports and gaming, but I need all of those scan colleagues to help me do what I do and understand how they do it. So yeah, same as me. If anybody comes looking for sponsorships, like, how can they help scan? What does scan need? It's what I'm trying to work out too.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Amazing. Right, well, we've got one last section of the show, and it is A.O.B. Any other business? Is there anything you want to talk about? I've got one more question for you, but I'll let you go first.
No, it's just nice to see, like, the teams that have kind of a clue. Like, obviously, Jack, we've been working together. Like, we have worked together. Like, you get it. Like, and there are a couple of others, like, in the UK. Like, we got things like UK ETC, which I think is really important. Which is a lot of the UK teams, and there'll be more added to it as it goes along. Not working commercially, but working to get esports out there. Something I've been trying to do for years is get the government to actually notice and, like, support us. How? I'm not exactly sure. I don't want them to regulate esports. That won't work, because at the end of the day, and it's amazing how many people don't understand this. Esports is because games developers and publishers create games, which is their IP, and they allow people to do esports with it. So whatever happens, you've got to work with the developers and the publishers. Whatever, I don't care what anybody says. That's just it. It's just, how do we make that happen, and how do we get esports bigger? Things for me like the NSE supporting that will get it bigger, because all of these students coming through and, like, look for long-term partnerships. So we don't want to just sponsor it and then disappear. I want to do this for a long time in the NSA and expand it. Hopefully tomorrow we'll announce my next thing that I'm doing with Scan. Hope it's tomorrow. But there's a big game being launched on the 10th, apparently. So it might have something to do with that.
Ooh.
Any leaks? Any leaks?
This won't go out until Friday, OD. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I can't leak it, but it's just it's somebody I've worked with before.
Okay.
And it's just yeah. All I say is she's one of the most talented esports FPS players I've ever seen, and yeah, that's it. So we're going to be doing something with her. That's probably giving it away straight away, but whatever.
That makes me smile. Smile.
So yeah, and that's just the first step. So what I've got to do now is prove that my ideas actually will help Scan, and if that's the case, then I can build on it. So yeah, so like I said, going back to the government, this year has been pretty cool, because I went to number 10 to the creative industries reception. This is the first time I've seen the Prime Minister there for more than 20 seconds. Like, I went there before. Theresa May was there for not very long. This time in the summer, the Prime Minister was there for quite a long time, talking to a lot of games industry people. The Chancellor was there. So they're aware that the games industry is really big, and it's getting bigger. And the fact that I was invited is pretty cool through Yuki.
And you got onto a flyer.
Yeah, well, it's a book. It's,
oh, he's got it.
yeah.
You're just behind him, aren't you?
Yeah,
I saw it on your Twitter.
It's the annual review of Yuki. Where are we? There I am.
Unreal.
Well, it says I just look like security. But then at Insomnia, the Chancellor was there, so I got to talk to him for 15 minutes with Neil Gaisford, the CEO of Player One Events. So yeah, it's important. Like if the government changes next time round next year, it's important that we keep talking to the government and hopefully they can support esports. Just the simplest things. It's like just getting the events in the UK, like helping the games developers bring all these events, and hopefully that's something the UK ETC has helped with because we did meet the mayor's office, London Mayor, in a couple of years ago, and then after that, quite a few events have been happening in London. But we need it all around the country as well. It needs to be everywhere.
I agree, and I think the good thing is that there seems to be some really good venues that are hosting esports events, like the Resorts World Arena in Birmingham for Apex Champs was really cool.
Unreal.
Yeah, and that was with partnered with Insomnia as well. So hopefully there'll be more. And like NEC is the perfect place for a lot of it because it's bang in the middle of the country. I think you're always going to have some of the big tournaments in London, because it's London. But we just need more here, and still we're still behind. Like one thing that the Chancellor did say to me is like, who's number one in the world for esports? And I said, right now it's Saudi Arabia, and like it's up to them to make that change if they want to be number one. Like do something.
Start now.
Yeah. Like even France, for example, like France support a lot of esports at the minute, like through the government, a lot more than we get. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you see I know we've spoken about this before, right? But like having a Sidemen esports team, like what are they called? Carmine Corp, right? Because that's based off it.
Oh yeah. Well, Carmichael, like that, the fan base they have is just nuts. Like Koi, all right, that fell apart, but they're still there, and I'm sure something else will be announced. I'm sure of it. But today I saw Crew Esports, Aguero's team. He's just partnered with Messi's now co-owner.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So this is going to get interesting because Messi and Aguero know eBay very well, and yeah, just seeing the fan base when Koi and Infinite Reality did merge for a little bit, the amount of fans is just unbelievable. Yeah, that's all I'll say about
that. Yeah, I mean, I think for the UK having a big like content creator group getting involved in esports would be incredible. So
yeah. Well, I helped bring Vic into the Ravens, so
yeah.
But now he's just DJing all the time. I've noticed.
Yeah, I love it. I guess one parting thought from me is just like, what do you think? I guess, do you think there's a big positive future for like UK esports on the global stage?
Oh yeah, totally. It will only get bigger and it will continue to grow. And it, as I've always said, the older I get, the more accepted it becomes because now it's just more accessible for literally, I don't know, even toddlers now. Soon as like they get handed a phone, play this new Blizzard game when you're 2 years old, and they'll probably play it, and it will just become normal. It is normal now, and what I've always said as well is we will stop being called gamers at some point because everybody plays games. Like we're consumers, and that's basically we consume like everything from content to everything around esports and gaming. It's not just esports. It's everything. So yeah, it's going to be huge. There's a big future in a lot of it. So even like the university scenes, like there's only a few fully kitted out universities with full esports facilities. Like there's still a lot to go on in that respect. And like I said earlier, like if it follows the American stuff that's going on, yeah, it's just nuts. It really is.
That would be massive. The structure there would be unbelievable if we could replicate a tiny bit of what they do over there.
Yeah, well, like so something Scan are involved with. So Oxford University, we just kitted them out with 20 computers. So we're on their jersey. I saw a design yesterday. But I'd love to see Oxford, Cambridge, Yale, Princeton have like those big colleges, like I don't know, just home and away matches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, world famous names, right? And then having an esports team there would be sick.
Yeah, and it's like the really nice guy, the head of Oxford University's esports club. He's studying to be a lawyer. It just does my head in. That goes another story. Goes back to 2013. We did the first Oxford Cambridge varsity match, and Dignitas were there. And I remember this guy came up to me. He was playing StarCraft. He said, "How do you control the nerves?" I said, "You don't." Like, I was always butterflies. I get nervous until I started playing, and then I'm fine. I said, "By the way, what are you studying?" And he said, "Astrophysics." I went, "Just go play." Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, I love
No,
it.
I
Where
do
it
wish
is, man.
my uni was more involved and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of people doing it. And it's like I constantly message like, does anybody want to like come and play? And we all play with each other, but I just don't feel like we're getting very far with it. My university's only small, but
Right.
it's just one of those where it's like, you know, it'd be great to see like every university trying to get involved.
Yeah, it's like again. I'll go back to what I said in the doctorate speech. I said like you've got to make stuff happen. Like
Yeah.
I said if you got, I said something like you've got a dream or a vision, whatever you want to call it, you've got to make it happen.
Yeah.
And if you don't try, you'll never know. I thought that was
No,
quite
I
a good
agree.
line.
No, I agree
I
with you.
think you smashed that actually.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah, probably saw it in a film somewhere.
Before we end up moving on, I've got one quick question for you. For like new people like me who are new to esports and like just like only just starting to learn new things, what's your advice for people getting involved? I know you said like going for your dream and things like that, but what would be your? We've had advice such as like listening to people who are better than you and things like that, but what would your advice be?
Again, I'll go back to that like doctorate speech. I think I just said just ask questions. Like don't just stand next to someone and don't say anything. Poke them. Say what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do?
But yeah, seriously, like so, like yeah, I've done that to people in the past, literally, and that turned into the sponsorship for Scan.
Yeah.
Insomnia, I was standing next to the boss, didn't know it was the boss of Scan. I just started talking to him, and that was that. And look where I am now, just because of why I asked questions. So that would be my advice: just ask and like question everything. Like don't trust anything anyone says unless your head tells you, yeah, okay, they were right. Unless it just came out of my mouth, and then yeah, trust everything I say.
I
So yeah,
trust
I'll
you.
just ask lots of questions. That's it.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Okay, okay. I have. Oh, go on, Cobby.
No, you go. You're cooking.
I was just going to say, what do you think about Call of Duty in the UK? Are we ever going to see a team back here?
You would hope so, but they've got to change the way it's done. I do understand why they switched to Carolina. I get that because we're pretty much based there anyway because there's only 12 teams. But there needs to be more franchises. But if you knowing what happened with CGS, Championship Gaming Series, they expanded way too quickly. That's why they died. So I think they'll get it right. Activision will get it right. Now it's got Microsoft behind it. They've got to get it right. And if it worst case scenario just doesn't work, just go back to the old days. Like, bring back MLG. Like Adam Apicella. Like he's just Adam, off you go. Just do some tournaments. Like that's the whole like thing. People just want to play. They want to compete. Like you can't just have the elite players playing it because it's not just the elite players playing. Like where's the 50-year-old league for me to play in? Like when's that coming? Where's the vets league? Like it's yeah. I don't know how to fix it. Like I don't know, but yeah. Well, do I see it? Well, maybe, but maybe that is the answer. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just want to see players compete. That's it.
Yeah, I want to see everyone compete against each other and know that the best is the best. They've beaten everyone there is.
Yeah, and even if like you can't play with the best. That you need leagues to feed the best. Like that's where the talent comes from. So, and that's what I've always supported.
Love it, love it. But did you have another question, Copy? Or was that?
I don't know. My heart's just been broken, to be honest. So I'm ready to wrap up. I'm ready for a sulk in the corner.
Oh mate.
God.
Give Adam
He
a
will.
blank
He
check.
will as well. He will be rocking in the back of the corner with his thumb in his mouth.
I heard home and away matches as well during the segment about the universities, right? Like that is just that's the goal, really.
It
Like
is.
Boston going on like to Optic and like home and away matches and stuff like that. Like just a format of that, just a tease of it, just like please.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be. But
Yeah.
then COVID got in the way.
But then like COVID's gone. Like what's the excuse now? Like look
Yeah.
at the
Get
state
it
of
moving.
Overwatch. Look
But
at the
like,
state of the Overwatch League, and it's like, is it only still here because it's COD and that's what's keeping it?
Yeah, but you mentioned like the Sidemen. Like they could easily get a franchise if they wanted one. It's not. I don't think it's a lot of money to them.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah, so
Definitely not now.
they just started selling vodka as well. I don't know if you saw that.
I've got a bottle of that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know where I've put it, but I had a
Marketing
bottle of
works,
it
yeah.
at Christmas last year.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think ultimately, yes, it will be back in the UK. Like the Warzone thing that was at the Copper Box, the World Series of Warzone, that was really good. That was one of the best events for a long time. So yeah, hopefully it comes back, and hopefully there's franchises here if it's still franchises. But I don't care how it happens. I just want it to happen.
Yeah, we echo that, I think. And like this year in Challenges, we're going to be everywhere. So hopefully, if you're looking for an UK esports team in Call of Duty, come find us.
Let's see when I get to that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, ODEE. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. And
No worries. We're going to play Warzone now.
Love it.